Consilium Delectorum Cardinalium, Episode 6. Et quoniam sanctitas tua spiritu Dei erudita, qui ut inquit Augustinus, loquitur in cordibus nullo verborum strepitu, probe noverat principium hordrum malordrum indefuisse, quod non nulli pontifices tui praedecessores prurientes auribus ut inquit apostolos Paulus, coacerva verunt sibi magistros ad desideria sua. And because your holiness, sanctitas tua, this is feminine, singular, and nominative, it will be the subject of the verb noverat here, and because your holiness, by the Spirit of God, Spiritu Dei, instructed erudita, and erudita feminine singular nominative, modifying sanctitas, as does tua, and then spiritu in the masculine singular and ablative, with Dei in the masculine singular genitive. And because your holiness, instructed by the Spirit of God, the Spirit who, as Augustine says, ut inquit Augustinus, as Augustine says, the Spirit who speaks, loquitur, in our hearts, in cordibus, nullo strepitu, without the sound, with no commotion, no sound of words, nullo strepitu, in the masculine singular and ablative. Strepitu is a fourth declension noun, strepitus is the nominative, us the genitive as a fourth declension noun, like spiritus, who speaks in our hearts without the sound of words. By that Spirit, your holiness correctly, probe, noverat, had learned, correctly had learned, the principium, had learned that, the origin or the foundation, the beginning of these evils was, fuisse, from this, inde. So the verb noverat introduces oratio obliqua, indirect discourse, indirect statement, the subject of which is principium in the neuter, singular, and accusative, and the verb is fuisse, knew that the foundation or the origin of these evils was from this, namely, quod, that some, non nulli routinely means some, i.e. not none, that some popes, your predecessors, tui praedecessores, not all of them, the cardinals are careful to say, but some of them, itching in their ears, prurientes auribus. Prurientes is a masculine nominative plural, participle, modifying pontifices. It's from the fourth conjugation verb prurio, prurire, which means to itch, itching in their ears, ut inquit apostolos Paulus, as the Apostle Paul says. And where does Paul say that? Well, in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 3, he says, in the latter days there will be some who will surround themselves with teachers that are according to their own desires, who will tell them what their itching ears want to hear. So, non nulli pontifices, prurientes auribus, as the Apostle Paul says, coacerva verunt. This verb in the perfect tense, somewhat difficult for me to pronounce, is from the first conjugation verb coacervo, coacervare, which means to heap up, to put into a pile or a heap. They have heaped up or assembled to themselves, sibi, this is the masculine, plural, dative, indirect object, teachers, magistros, according to their own wishes. Magistros is masculine, plural, and accusative. It is the direct object of the verb in the perfect tense, and sibi, as I've said, in the dative is the indirect object. And finally, these are teachers, magistros, ad desideria sua, according to their own wishes. Desideria sua, neuter, plural, and accusative as the object of the preposition ad. One of the prominent authors and subscribers of this document was Gasparo Contarini, who was born in 1483, the same year as Luther, and died in 1542.